Hi guys, just doing a quick live session. I wanted to go over some of the information that I was dealing with yesterday. So basically the DAX, I wasn't really sure. I did mention that I wasn't too keen on getting long. There was the potential that if price did get down to this kind of area here, then I may have wanted to take a long trade or perhaps even off the pivot. Now what happened on the DAX? I did mention that I wasn't going to really take anything on the DAX. There was a touch of the pivot, and basically it went down about 47 points. I usually have my stops around 40 points, so I would have got stopped out on the regular basis, although I did think if it was going to go down, it was at least going to come down to these levels. So a long wasn't really that feasible, and I was quite concerned about it. If you held on, obviously it would have worked. You would have got quite a few points out of that. Be sitting at about 170 points right now. If you had have gotten long and held, perhaps stops a bit lower down below the low, but that's a really big stop loss, depending on how you like to trade and for this kind of a target. Also keeping in mind that we are really high in the historic pricing area. So I am expecting the market to drop down quite heavily at some point, potentially. Always a chance that it will go up. The Fed, I believe, are really pushing along assets like stocks, and that will probably inherently affect the German 40, also known as the DAX or the FDAX in the futures. What I did want to share with you today, though, just drop that back to a weekly. I did want to share with you the FTSE. Now I did mention that obviously the ideal situation is at the open. We get a burst upwards towards that close gap. Now yesterday I did get in and out quite quickly upon noticing a pretty good push up. I would have preferred to have gotten in earlier, but I was doing something else at the time, and it did come up. It was quite a nice push up. I'm just going to turn that off and go back. So this is the opening bar here. I kind of got in a little bit late, but I took out 7 points. I kind of saw it turning back around. We're outside the Bollinger Bands and kind of close to that pivot, and believing that it's probably going to turn around that pivot. We've also touched an MA here, a 200 MA on the 5-minute chart. So I was pretty happy just to get out of that for a little profit. Now it did take some time to get to where I said it was likely going to go, which is down at this confluence down here. Now had you have got in, it's about 11 to 12 points worth of risk taken before the market moved in your favour, right up to the pivot and beyond. So really good setup yesterday. Had you have believed that the market was going to go long, I probably would have liked to have gotten out at the pivot if I was trading at this time. However, those with a bit more risk tolerance and a bit more mental tenacity in the markets may have held, and that's a good, even right now, it would have been about 64 points for about, you'd want probably 25, 30 point stop. So that's a pretty good trade had you have gotten onto that. Now, just want to have a quick look over today. I'm just doing it live so I don't have to go back and edit and mess around with it, and give you guys a bit of insight straight away. And this will be available for the next few hours, obviously before the market opens. So I'm just going to have a quick look at what I believe the market could be doing today. Very positive yesterday. We are quite high in terms of the positioning of price on a historical sense, and why did it put me so far back? So we've got the close gap down further, got a few hours before we actually open, so the market could still move around. It might actually open on the close gap. It kind of doesn't really give us much room to move or play around. Taking a short, it's a bit risky. There's not really that much in it, and if we do sort of fade the gap a little bit at the open, you're really looking at only 7 or 8 points as a sort of a maximum potential. Stops would probably have to be about 30 points away, so really not worth it in my eyes, unless obviously we do continue down further. But see how these cam levels are quite spread out and they're quite close together. They don't really look like there's much value in terms of the layout, so it's not really something that I'm excited for today. Yesterday was quite a good setup, and I did just take that little snippet out of the market because I saw it going towards that close gap, which I expected at the open if we saw a bit of green momentum to take us in. So I quickly jumped into that trade. However, I did not wait around, what was that, so 10 o'clock. It was an hour and a half before the market actually got to where I thought it was going to go, and I generally just trade the open for a couple of minutes. Got things to do and quite busy, so really good setup yesterday. Had you have waited around or even put a pending order on. Just having a look at the DAX now for today. Very similar layout to the FTSE today, so we're opening at present above the close gap. We could move around during this pre-market phase for the next few hours, so potentially we could open down below it, which would change the whole scenario. But at this stage, I'd potentially be looking for another strong sort of a push up into perhaps the breakout long or the R2. If we got it, obviously, you're just making assessments based on what the market is actually doing, and you'd hope for a nice strong push out and start to see some selling coming in to then take it back down to this close gap or even below, down further. So that would be about, it's 100 points if it did get all the way up here. Just remembering the market can get quite bullish, so you don't want to be selling a market that's just steamrolling. One thing to note, we've got the 17,000 mark, 17000, just up around this R3. So if we did get up to this R3 level and kind of tapped that 17,000 clean number, we've done it, where are we? We basically got there, the 17,000 mark, back in mid-December. So that 17,000, the big round number, it acts as a really strong resistance point. We have already tapped it. Could be a really good double top combination with the S3 up the top there. Sorry, the R3 I should say. This is on the DAX. So R3, and you got the 17,000 plus the almost a triple top, I would just about call it, on a daily chart. So you've got this wick here. It didn't quite get up there, but you kind of could use it as a bit of a reasoning point. So if we did get all the way up there, really good potential to go short. Unfortunately, the market can just power on, so you always got to be aware that the market doesn't always want to respect what you want to happen. You just have to be very humble in what you do and use your risk management, that kind of thing. Target would be the gap, but from here it's really not worthwhile. So you got 30 points versus you're probably looking at 100 points potential upside. So going short to this target is not really a valid setup. One thing that people might be looking for is perhaps the market could get down to the close or the pivot once again, and then so come right down and then potentially go up again. And there is always that chance that the market is going to drop out once it drops below this kind of price action here. If it gets down, and it could just fall out and really cause a bit of mayhem to start off 2024. So there's lots of scenarios that could occur. It's about watching the market at the open, seeing what kind of impulsive move comes in to take you to a particular target or a point of turning around. And then if you do have access to it, such as the Apex trader funding accounts, that kind of thing, and you've got the futures data, looking at the order flow to see if you can identify what might indicate a weakening of buyers and increasing sellers through that order flow, that footprint on Tradovate. So lots to look out for potentially on the DAX, I feel, today. If we do get that solid momentum at the open, in terms of the FTSE, very similar thing could happen, but it just doesn't really look that enticing to me today. And generally when it's not that enticing to me, it means that the way I usually read my charts doesn't really work out. So for me, it's looking at the DAX today, so the opposite of yesterday, and hoping for a nice big spike, impulsive move that's going to be able to get corrected by the traders looking to balance the market out. So as a trader, that's kind of our jobs, is to balance the market and create an efficient market. So whenever there's an inefficiency, we jump in and make it efficient again by pushing the market back where it should go. That's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoy these videos. Please do comment and like your comments. I had a few people reach out to me as well, so I'm really glad some people are enjoying it. But if you are enjoying it and you haven't mentioned anything, your support it does mean a great deal. I know it's just a couple of words on a platform, but to me, I jump on, I put in this effort, and I hope to see you guys get the most out of it and really enjoy what I'm putting out there. So have a great day, good luck with your trading, and we'll talk to you soon.